Okay, this film 4B is really just an extension of 4. It's the logical wrap-up of everything that happened in 4, which takes care of some stuff at this end here and deals with some stuff on the inside as well. But again, this should be a lot shorter than the last film, than 4 was. But we'll see how that goes. But I will try to be rapid. This is where we left the last time, where we had this 412 pitch structure. And this was it. This is from outside, and this was inside the structure. This is what we have with 412 pitch. And then we dropped this to 312. But there's not quite enough room over here yet, so we have to bring these roof planes up a little bit. And even after we do that, though, we can bring these two windows down to a normal head height. And when we bring this down to 312, that means this bottom chord becomes 112. I had originally said it was funky, but I at least wanted to show it, and I think it's fine. We get this heel height back up to about 5 by pushing that up 3 or 4 inches. What that does, though, is increases these beam sizes on the outside. You can see it's short here with just a piece of 1x6 out here. That becomes like a 1x10 on the outside. And you know, once we drop that pitch as well, it was way up there, we can horse around with that window all day long. I took it from an awning window to a taller casement window, and it can be even taller than that. And I got rid of those two little ones and just put one awning window. Also notice when I make the next couple moves, I go back to that left hinged door that we could possibly reuse, that existing left hinged door, because it doesn't really matter. I suppose it's a case of whether or not you want that toilet to be seen this way or the other way. And that is here. And actually move the door over a little, move that window to be centered on the door. And then there will be a discussion, or you guys will have to decide where the valve to this shower goes. Does it go right on this wall just inside this door, or here? Does it go just opposite this one? That'll have to be decided. Also notice that once I tightened up that space between the door and the toilet, it allowed room for that shower to even be another 6 inches deeper to 4'6". Which means, of course, that at least the medicine cabinet behind that vanity to the south could be almost 12 inches deep if you wanted to actually have towels in that cabinet there. Okay, and then from outside, that was the last time. That was at 412 over 212. And then we went down to 312 over 112. And that does a lot for us up to at the bathroom and that window, etc. But it does require that ice and water shield over this whole surface. And the next thing, these are 30-inch wide windows here. And so I brought those down to 24-inch wide. Some people might want that piece of trim up there. That downspout is back behind that brick wall, like that. But there's more on these downspouts in a bit here. And looking from this end, we had this transition coming out of here. Looking from this side, this was that 412 over 212. We go down to 312 over 112. And that downspout gets pushed all the way into the corner. And there's that interior trim being added. Then I just took that back to a double hung window up there because there was enough space to do that. And I messed around with these stairs a little on that little shift there too. That's almost the minimal stairs there, where this is only 11 here and down 7 and out another 11. But I started taking a look at these stairs, and at first I kind of liked this with this one oddball column up here. I liked how it brought all of this together here. But I decided against that, or moved away from that as I went further forward, because it just didn't feel, pure. Architecturally, it didn't feel pure. And this is still those 30-inch wide flanking windows. That was the 312. It's amazing, 412, as soon as you go down to 312, I had to double check and make sure it was visible, but it's just because of the angle of this camera, I guess. But those are those 30-inch windows, and then we drop those to 24s. So inside, looking at this section, looking out toward the west, this would be the crawl space. It looks like 6 courses are going to get you low enough here, and then that is earth here. This is just excavated down. So you got 2'1", which is 25, so 25, 35, so about 40 inches down. Presumably that's native grade there, and just scrape that off, and that'll give you 25 inches in the crawl space. A couple elevation things that probably cover something or another. So then this was when I added those columns back here. And these are just, they project in front of this brick coming toward us just about an inch. And the same thing on that face there. So those are like half columns, or sometimes maybe they call them 3/4 columns. And this is another exterior view of the addition. From this end, this is when I started messing with these steps a little bit here. They have to interface with the garage stairs and the mudroom, the new mudroom entrance. So that was where this was almost, I think these are about 17 or 19 deep here. That's pulled back to kind of a minimal thing. And this is this oddball column. I just don't think I could really get behind that, just because it's just not, doesn't seem correct. And I will show you some films. And I actually really started kind of liking this one, and I ran a couple films, rotations around this structure, 2 or 3 of them, from about 50 feet out. And your fence out there is about 70 feet out. The first rotation just follows the land, so it's going to be as if you were down on this land, and just, your eyes above the land. And then the final rotation of this little series stays level as if you were on this patio, but you're still out there 50 feet. But then, as I said, I don't know, I just couldn't end up living with it, so I reverted to this situation here. And you may differ. That may be just fine with you. And I can live with that as well. But I went to this, and we know those downspouts are not going to work like that, at least not on this one here, on that south one. And this return trip fixes those both up symmetrically. No, it's this rotation here that the camera stays at the same level all the way around. Pretty sure. Definitely starting here in any event. So after I brought that outside as far along as I thought it needed to right now, I looked at this inside and put in the existing walls. I guess this was the office and this was the bathroom here. Ignore this toilet that we still have on the first floor over here. Then I looked at this fireplace because I had taken the time to model that because I thought it was going to play some sort of a role. So I wanted to see, I want that to be in the plan or in the model. And that's the center line of the fireplace there. And I don't know, this is the edge of that doorway here, of the existing doorway. And if that's mirrored up there, that means that wall, if you wanted a wall that was symmetrical with this fireplace here, that gives you a pretty, that's 39-inch opening without any casing. If we get some casing on it and go to 40 inches, it gives you some wall here. And I was just horsing around with this and really didn't know where I was going with it. I knew I wanted to look at the possibility of having a window through here since we have an opening. In a part of this we have an opening. So I wanted to look at that, to getting a window, because if somebody's sitting there, I anyway would want to be able to look out that window in both of these directions. And so that existing doorway, for another thing, that existing doorway is about 11'8". What I've shown there, which was an overlay from the Powell plan, the Powell plan A. And I took that down to 9'8", and you may disagree on that as well. But I made that a little more narrow, 9'8", even with a big table in here, you would still be able to come through. Mainly, and again, you may differ, but I kind of wanted this to be at least out as far as this tile work is on that hearth. So that's what I did. I took that down to 9'8", left it symmetrical on that room, centered on that room, centered on this window out front. And then I wanted to look at putting a window in here. And I had started just by putting, another 2-foot window because I knew we weren't going to be able to get much more than that. And I wanted to see, I went back and looked at this plan, and this was how the furniture was set up. Presumably that is going to go back a little bit further from the hearth maybe. But I kind of like that it gives this wall back here and just forces that path over here. So I went outside to look at this window a little further, and that's where it was when I just shifted it in there. I don't know, but I came out here to look at it, and I wanted to keep the lights the same. So really there was only going to be 2 choices, and that was going to be either 2 lights across or 3 lights across. And I never do get to 3 lights across, because there's the 2 lights across in the green. And this is another thing I'm just going to interject here. Someone's got to pay attention to the alignment of these window heads through here and endeavor to make everything aligned. In this permutation, these go up, looks like another 1.5 inches, making these columns out here 9 foot 3 or 4. So this patio starts down minus 22.5 from the finished first floor here, and then it drops an additional 4.5 out here. That's a 1/4 inch per foot. You may want to take it down more rapidly than that, so that you don't have, you've seen some of the edges out here in the films. But yeah, somebody has to endeavor to get those windows aligned. But this is the old opening of that window we're taking out. So that's the interior wall. So if we try to move that all the way to fit there so that we don't have to stick a new lintel, although it looks like there's only a little bit of brick above this. And you've got all that baked brick that you got, so maybe that's not going to be that big a deal. But as it is, I assumed that you wouldn't disturb that east edge of that, but that means we're down into a 20-inch wide double hung window at that location, and it's still crammed into the corner there. And this is a quick walkthrough of this particular first permutation of trying to get a window in there, and it just looks at a number of other issues along the way. And of course, I'm not in favor of this situation here at all. Before I went on any further with that window, because I was seeing things going through that film that needed to be solved in this kitchen. So I went in this kitchen, and this will show you a look at that bathroom as well, the one that's shown right now on that second floor, if we can get close. So this is the two cabinets. This is a false wall behind, or half wall behind them. So they have like an 8 or 9 inch backsplash here with the outlets in them, and outlets in that, and then this medicine cabinet above, which is 6 inches deep. I mean, really a person could probably endeavor to make it even deeper if they wanted to frame these walls out. But I have it like this, and that cabinet, depending on who puts these cabinets together, I just have it like this so that light fixtures can be mounted on the side. And this is a mirror in the middle, and it's 6 inches deep. I mean, there's a load of toiletry storage in that. Additionally, I didn't look them up, but that is a 42-inch space. It can be tailored to be exactly 42 inches wide. And I'm positive there are a myriad of medicine cabinets with lights and so forth, etc., in that width and variable depths, because you can get fairly deep there as well. Going back to the first floor, you can see we had an issue here with this doorway, and that doorway, I think, is centered. It was centered on this line here, centered on the kitchen, and so I have made that, taken that down about, I don't know, 6 or 8 inches to give you a margin on this end here. Again, more walls for art on this corner here. And additionally, this same thing applies outside as applies inside. Is we want to get these window heads all aligned with everything that's happening inside. And so I made that adjustment there and did another walkthrough, or continued that same walkthrough, and I changed these countertops just because those last ones were just so overpowering. So I wanted something a little neutral to just see what's happening and absorb things. And I just continued with these walkthroughs looking for issues, and this is the only thing I can think to do with that window. That becomes 24-inch wide there now. Oops. And does, intrude beyond that eastern margin of the existing window opening. But I think justifiably, considering everything. Now, except for cabinetry and furnishings, I think this pretty much rounds out a good review of the interior and the exterior and the upstairs and the downstairs. Remember, that dining room door, that door to your little room back there, can be whatever width you like, and of course is centered on that east-facing window in that room. Finally, I suppose that window could 3 lights wide, but that would only leave maybe 4 or 5 inches on either side between that wall and the mantelpiece. And then you would have 2 in that window, then 3 in this one, and 5 in that one. Of course, we've come this far. May as well take a quick look from outside. That is the 2-foot wide, centered on that doorway, and that is 32 inches wide. The 5 light, or the 3 light, the 2 light, 2 foot, and the 3 light, 32 inch. And from over here, the only thing to clean up was, I got rid of those columns, notice. Those columns back here, just not needed. If you want them, you can have them. I got rid of them, and this is what I'm showing here. And I know this has been exhaustive, but this will be the last walkthrough, and that's it. Get in touch with me with any other, whatever you want to do. Thanks very much. This is why I thought it was egg and dart, which it's not, but it is this. But just in that room. Everything else just has the other crown that you have been seeing in the films.